story short, and then I'm figuring you're probably okay with me telling longer story long. Dave died. He passed away. So I'm just finding out like the information of what happened. I guess that would be the longer story. His dad called me Tuesday afternoon at 12:31, 123. That was funny. My phone has literally been blowing up since, which is amazing. I have like over 50 minimum messages right now. Like literally minimum of people just being wonderful, like texting, reaching out on Facebook, Instagram, like just messaging me to give their condolences, give advice, offer help. Any way possible. And so I guess we should just do long story, right? Since I said that that was the short version. He died. He had a heart attack. I guess he wanted to go out on a high note, which I do think is beautiful. And again, like, I know he's not suffering. I do think it's beautiful that he went out on a high note. And I get like that a lot, where I like kind of space out. Like, it's like my brain, it just all of a sudden will either like just zone out or start thinking of like a gazillion things that are now on my plate. I'm gonna go do paperwork stuff today, which is like just an interesting aspect. Because Callie, I don't know, we were talking about paperwork, and it's funny because oh my god, see, I literally can't even form a straight thought right now. My brain is in like 20 million different directions, which I know you're used to. Like, I'm getting ready to do an end-of-life doula training, end of November through December. It's like 4 weeks long, but it's only on Wednesdays from like 9 to 5. And so I need to finish figuring out, because I had childcare taken care of for the older kids during that time. For the older kids for my time, but not for Dave's time. So I need to, like, and I know it's not for 2 months, but I need to make sure that they're taken care of now for Dave's time. And I know they will be. Like, the community at both of their schools has just been fantastic. And it's weird because, like, I know I told you a while ago that I was having those crickets like come and pass away like next to me. It was like the weirdest thing. I'd be like doing paperwork at most, and a cricket would just come hang out with me and then like pass away. And that guy, hot tub guy, Joe, when I told him, he was like, well, maybe they're using your energy. He goes, oh, well, they're just using your energy, your calming energy to pass, or they're just using your energy to let go and pass away because you have such calming energy. And I was like, oh, whoa, like, I think he's actually right, which is just so funny because, all the other things with him, that was just like so spot on. And I oddly think that this is more training for me to be an end-of-life doula, and this one's more an end-of-life doula massage certificate, and I think that'll be part of my training. But I know I've been called to be like an end-of-life doula for about 2 years, more than that probably with the crickets, probably 3 years now. But since having my own near-death experience and realizing like that's something that I want to do, is to be able to hold space for loved ones and for the person passing, because especially if they are getting ready to transition on, you know, that could be scary for the family, the person, you know, but not realizing just how much is involved with somebody dying, because I have lost like my grandma, my aunt, my uncle, my grandma and grandpa, my aunt and uncle, you know, like stuff like that, but they weren't close like this, like with Dave, like, and that's like a whole mind fuck in itself, is the amount of grief that I have felt for the loss of him. Like when Dave's dad called me to tell me, which I'll get to, I literally broke down sobbing, crying. Like the kids happened to be with me, like divine timing, and you know, I called them over and gave them a hug and I told them the news, and I didn't know, you know, like I didn't realize it was going to hit me that hard. And I think part of it was because 4 years ago now, when I ended things with Dave, and I didn't know I was grieving. I didn't even know that was a thing, to grieve the loss of somebody who's still alive. Like, I didn't understand that you could, because it's like, it's still the loss of a person, a relationship, your future. Like, you were the one to tell me that, and you're like, well, you're just grieving. And I was like, wait, what? And I'd never felt grief like that, so I didn't understand. But because I definitely had held a lot of that in and felt so numb, like a zombie, like I never truly allowed myself that release of the grief. Like, I cried maybe once or twice, like twice, maybe, I think once that I remember, when he came to pick up his stuff. But then I was on my way to go get Callie from school, and I like stopped myself from crying, because I was like, oh, well, what are you doing? You have to pick her up. Like, now I would stop. I wouldn't have left the house. I would have let myself cry it out, and I would have just messaged and said, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm running late, you know, and then picked her up. Definitely a different me now. And oh wait, this is so I definitely feel like this is like that release, and it's been almost 4 years to the date of when I left him, which is just, again, fascinating, right? The way that works. Like, grief, trauma, it is cyclical. Like, even though time might be relative or, you know, like taught, there is something to be said for that bubbling back up and us getting another chance to heal from it. And so I had been working on getting the kids their passports, because Callie's had expired. Hobbs is not due until like August, but his is his baby picture, and mine comes due in April, and Lily didn't have one yet. So my mom helped me write up all the, like, she helped me, she filled out all the paperwork online that I needed, and then she emailed it to me so that I could just print it and bring it in. And then Dave needed to either have a form notarizing, like signing off on okaying getting a passport, since he's the dad for Callie and Hobbs, or he needed to come with us to the appointment. And it turned out I needed his ID, so he was gonna get the form notarized. And I started this, like, I think after having Lily, and I just didn't have the energy to do it. So he actually had the form notarized back in March, but I didn't have the correct ID that matched the notary, the one that the driver's license that he used for the notary. So I get to the appointment for Callie on Friday, and one, the form's expired. I waited too long. It's only good for 90 days. Oops. Again, looking back, I realized this is all meant to be. But in the moment, I'm like, oh shoot, like, is he gonna be mad? He has to redo this. But I also didn't have the copy of the correct driver's license, and I needed the front and back of that driver's license. And, you know, like, I'm the one taking them for their pictures. I'm the one taking them for the appointments. I'm you're still like worried. Like it's like this, I don't know, trauma effect of you're still like, I like tell myself these stories like he's gonna be mad that he has to redo the paperwork, and I get all anxious, and it's like, even if he is mad, so what? But it's just like, then is he gonna fight me on it? Is he gonna, well, he didn't even, you know, I messaged him and I said, hey, you know, the form, I need a new one for you, because unfortunately this one's, or I said, I don't know what I said, but I didn't say I need. I would purposely try not to word things that way, because I knew if I said I needed something, I knew that would trigger him. But I think I said like the form expired, so like they need a new one from you. And so I had an upcoming appointment for Hobbs on Tuesday, so this was on Friday, and I messaged him and I said, you know, this is what they need: the new form notarized and a copy of the front and back of that driver's license, or you can come with us to the appointment. This is the date and time. And the funny thing was, is I almost thought about saying, or we can delay their appointment. Like, because he said, well, can we do it? He actually said, can we do it Wednesday instead of Tuesday? And I said, no. I said, I had to schedule this like a month out. And I almost offered, and I was like, nope, that's enabling. Do not offer that. Do not offer to push that back the appointment. Let him figure out how to get this done. Because he had a meeting with Tuesday, he had a meeting during Tuesday morning during the appointment time. So he asked if we could push it back to Wednesday, and I said no, we're not able to. So it was really weird the night before. I'm usually asleep by 10, so this is Monday night. Oh, okay, so anyways, he gets the paperwork notarized, and Monday evening around 4:30 sometime in there, I have like the text message saying like, hey, I'm here. And then he knocked, because I didn't respond, because I didn't have my phone, because I wasn't expecting him quite yet. Because he had said around 4:30, and he got it earlier, so he came by to the house. I was planning on meeting him at Swim Kids, for my kids for gymnastics and swimming. They do classes there. I was planning on meeting him there. And he shows up, and so he got to see the kids. They got to see him. It was like divine timing again, because he usually has them Wednesday to Wednesday. He usually takes them to school on Wednesday, but I guess for the first time ever, my kid said the sitter had to wake up the kids and get them ready and take them to school because he had work or something. So the last time he had seen him was the previous Tuesday evening, putting them to bed. So he didn't even get to see him that Wednesday morning before they went to school. So this was like a meant to be that they got to see him. And he looked good. He looked healthy. He looked fit. He was clean shaven. He was like taking care of himself, right? Because I'm pretty sure because he was single. Because he always takes better care of himself when he's single. He does much better when he doesn't have, you know, a girlfriend enabling him. Like letting himself go. He, like, I've had like some stories. I'm gonna have to pick up something really quick from my mailbox here in just a second. Stories that he went to a pool party with the kids at school, and it was during his time, and one of the parents said like he was literally like in the pool with Hobbs, throwing him up in the air, in the pool, you know, throwing him up and catching him and just smiling and laughing, and everybody who saw him said he looked good. He did. He looked good. He looked fit. Like, he looked the best. that, alright, I'm gonna leave this running and just grab, I just have to get something really quick from my mailbox before the appointment, sorry. But he looked good. He looked fit. Like, he was taking care of himself. He looked happy. He had told me when he, like, went to do the paperwork, he said he had to reschedule. And I was like, why are you giving me all these details, right? Because it's like, I'm not your spouse. Why are you giving me all these details? He was like, I have to reschedule my therapy appointment, and then he was like, I'm gonna have to just drop off the paperwork and go, because I'm going straight to my therapy appointment. And again, I don't know what he was working on in therapy, but he was going to therapy. And Callie told me, so I got, my parents got Lily a paddleboard for her birthday, but it was what I requested that they buy her for her birthday, because it was really freaking hot out here this summer. Like, really freaking hot. Like, ridiculously hot. Like, we had some of the hottest temperatures that we have had ever. And, getting out on the water is one way to kind of be outside, but not hiking where you're in this hot heat. So I took her out twice so far. Once on Tempe Town Lake, and then once with it was with this group raising money for autism, and once on the Salt River. And I didn't know anybody, and I just went. It was fun. And so I took Lily on a paddleboard, which I've never seen anybody else do. So I'm like, okay, props, mama. Like, you're brave as crap for, you know, and like, I know people have brought their babies on the boards, and I've heard stories, but I've never seen anybody do it. And I've never seen anybody do it on the Salt River. Like lakes where, you know, there's not a flow. But then I almost feel like you have to do more work versus the Salt River. You can kind of just go with the flow of the river. You start up and then you flow down the river. And Callie yesterday tells me that Dave bought a paddleboard and took them out on the paddleboard. He had a paddleboard and took the kids out on a paddleboard at a lake, and he was talking about taking them to some other lake. And I don't know which lake, but Callie. It's actually not talking over me with the reactions. But he, like, the fact that he was going outside and being outdoorsy and, like, just weird. Like, I mean, that's stuff that I wanted to do when we were together and whatnot, right? And it, all he would want to do is stay home and watch movies or TV or whatever. And he was doing some sort of a men's group, and I got an Instagram suggestion, like, hey, you may know this person. It was like the real Dave Larson, you know, like, he was like hyping himself up like he's like some big known actor. But he had like 3 pictures on there, 2 or 3. He was actually in some sort of a little film, and it's something that he wanted to do, that he talked about doing, he talked about during our time together. And he never did it, never pulled the trigger, never, like, you know, took any sort of initiative. And then when I broke up with him, he actually got, or no, this was before I broke up with him. When we restructured OS and I started doing mobile visits and he wasn't doing shit, literally sitting around not doing shit, I, in a therapy session, told him that I wanted him to get a job. And in that therapy session, he flat out said no. He said no. He said that he helped me at the business. I'm still going to be upset about that one because he did not do shit at the business other than rack up a shit ton of debt. Because he was completely non-dysfunctional. Non-dysfunctional. He was completely dysfunctional, completely non-functional when we were together. It's like that trigger, right? I don't know. Like, he really does so much better when he's single. Like, being in a relationship triggers some awful shit for him. And I get it, right? Like, I understand that now, that it's like something in being in a relationship triggers his childhood trauma to bubble up, and then he just can't handle, you know, what's going on. But when we restructured the business, he wasn't doing shit. And when I told him in the therapy session, I needed him to go get a job, I wanted him to go get a job, he flat out said no, because he said he helped me with my dream, and now it was time for him to fulfill his dreams. And I said, okay, well, even if you're still working on fulfilling your dreams and work part-time at a gas station, I don't care, go do something. And he flat out said no, even to that. And because he said that he wanted to be in movies and write movies and this and that. And I remember seeing this Instagram pop up, and this was before he passed, and I looked through it, and it was mixed feelings, right? It was mixed feelings of like, well, good for him, slash what? Slash, oh, okay, you think you're some big movie star because you were in some tiny film. But it was also like, well, good for him for finally fucking living out his dream for, 4 fucking years later. Good for him for finally doing something about it. And it looked like he enjoyed it. And so I showed my mom and Callie this Instagram yesterday, and there was one more picture that popped up, and it actually has the name of the movie, and it's called Riley or something like that. So I'm gonna have to see if I can get it, but I don't know if the kids are gonna be able to watch it. It looks kind of scary. It looks like mixed martial arts, which is Dave's jam, right? He's dressed as like a mixed martial artist. It looks like he's got a black eye and blood, and so it's the real Dave Larson if you want to look it up. And I'm curious to see. I'm gonna see if somebody can figure this out, or see if this is a thing, and it'll be a thing now that I'm putting it out there. But you know how we have all these Instagram photos? What if Instagram's not around when the kids are older? I want to see if there's some sort of service that will put together all of his Instagram photos into a booklet and print it with the captions, if there are any, but the dates, the captions, print it for the kids so that they each have a booklet of, memories of their dad. And Jim, his sister's husband, so his brother-in-law, offered to do like a collection of stories for him, so I might ask him to look into that and see if that's a possibility too. But like, I've just had so many people offer so many sweet, kind things that I just can't even, like when Jim started messaging me telling me, oh, well, my friend from college passed away, and his kid's mom created this book, and maybe, if that's something for the kids. And I could feel triggered, like, you're expecting me to do more and put more on my plate. And then he offers to do it, to collect stories from Dave's friends and whatnot, to put this together for Dave. And I was just like, whoa, like the sense of community and just support that I'm receiving is, I've never felt anything like this. But so Dave was actually doing good. Like, he legit went out on a high note. So that night, Monday night, I'm usually asleep by 10. Like, usually around 10 I'm like passing out, like, if not like after 10, maybe 11, I really don't remember what time, my stomach starts growling. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I, see if I can sneak out. Sometimes Lily will wake up if I get out of bed. She actually stayed asleep. So she was in bed, with Callie, and I sneak out and Hobbs sleeps in my room too. Sometimes he sleeps on the bed, sometimes he likes to sleep on the floor. I sneak out to the kitchen to go heat up food, and I'm heating up leftover spaghetti from Hobbs's first birthday. And all of a sudden I hear something fall over in the fridge, and I was like, well, that's weird. What's that noise? So as the spaghetti's heating up, I walk over to the fridge and I open it up to see what happened. I had a smoothie in there, and like the Ninja, but like the personal Ninja. I had a smoothie in there, and it literally somehow, so like the lid was screwed on. It literally somehow exploded in the fridge. And I was like, well, that's weird. Like, and I was even thinking about dumping it because it had been in there for like, I don't know. So maybe something, pressure, because it had been in there for a few days and I hadn't drank it. And I was like, I should really just dump that. But I hadn't yet, right? Like mom life. I hadn't gotten around to it yet. So it explodes all over the inside of my refrigerator. And I'm like, well, do I take the time to clean this up and risk the kids, like Lily waking up? Well, yeah, because I don't want to have to clean this up tomorrow and it'd be a big old mess. But I am hungry and I really want to eat. And so, I did take the time to clean it up. Most of it. Some of it was still like on the kids' lunch boxes and I didn't realize it. I cleaned up most of it. But we go to we're getting ready for this is now on Tuesday. We're getting ready so I clean it up, I eat, I go back to sleep. Lily stayed asleep the whole time. Great. I think she probably woke up when I was climbing back in bed and I nursed her back to sleep. And so Tuesday morning rolls around and I'm trying to get all the paperwork all organized and ready to go so I had already done Lily's appointment, but this was now for Callie, Hobbs, and me. So I'm trying to make sure that all the paperwork's organized. I have all 3 of the applications. I have all of the paperwork necessary in my checkbook, everything, right? Ready to go. And I got a call that morning 3 separate times from a private number. I still don't know. I think maybe it's probably like a spiritual thing. Maybe it was Dave reaching out. Maybe it was, at first I was wondering if it was like, somebody calling me to let me know Dave passed. Like maybe I was still down somewhere as an emergency contact. I didn't know. And I didn't know, right? Like, so a private number called me 3 times. I'm like, well, it's probably just spam, right? If it's a client or somebody wanting to schedule, they'll leave a message, and I'll call them back. But it called me 3 times, and each time I was like, I'm too busy right now to pick up. Like, I can't. I think one time it was like at the appointment, like right after as we were leaving or something like that. And I was just like, maybe it was, I don't remember what it was, but it was sometime around the appointment. And I was just like, I can't, like I'll, if they leave a message, I'll call back. Because usually being a business owner, I will answer like more calls than usual that I would let to go to voicemail if the number's not saved, because I'm like, well, it could be a client wanting to schedule, so if I'm available, I'll answer it. But it was 3 times, and it just really caught my attention, right, that it was like 3 times. And then we go back home, and I'm fixing lunch and getting ready to put, like, I know Lily's gonna need to go down for a nap right after because it's past her nap time. And Dave's dad is calling me. I didn't know why he was calling me. I didn't have any sort of sense of impending doom or anything. Like, there was nothing. I almost didn't answer it because we were sitting down to eat and I was hungry and I wanted to eat. So I'm sitting down getting ready to eat spaghetti and his dad calls and I literally almost left it, and Hobbs goes, Mommy, we'll answer it. And I go, okay. So I answer it and it's Dave's dad, and literally all he says is, I like, I want to let you know, I need to let you know, I don't know, like, Dave died last night. And immediate tears just streaming. And so again, meant to be, because the kids were home with me when we got this news, versus usually, like, Callie would be at school. Hobbs spends Tuesdays with me, but Callie would usually be at school. And, you know, so I called them over. Hobbs was sitting to my left, but Callie was across from me, so I call her over, and I put my arms around each of them, and I say, you know, your dad has passed away. And Callie, she could tell as soon as I started crying. I saw the look on her face. She knew something like serious was up. And she just, all of a sudden, you know, like, she just started saying, I wasn't ready, and she's crying, and Hobbs is crying, and Lily is crying, because we're all crying. And so I found out more information now. I forget what time it was, 8:16 or something like that in the morning. I don't even know. But his sister got a call from the hospital saying that Dave passed away from a heart attack. So he was in the hospital. So, you know, I literally have no details. I don't know if he took himself. I don't know if a friend took him. I literally have zero details. This is more details that his sister knew the day and time that it happened. And then his dad did message me later and said what it was. It was, I forget the medical term, left descending artery. It's the widow's maker heart attack, the one that is the largest blood flow supplier to the heart. And it was clogged. They didn't know. And he died. But I really, and recently, probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little more, I had finally, probably like 6-ish months ago, I had finally, maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, I had finally switched my mentality of being mad, right, at Dave, and wanting to keep the kids and not wanting him to like mess them up, and to finally being like, I'm fucking glad that he has them half the time, because it actually helps me heal. It gives me time to heal, and it gives me time to do therapy and focus on myself. And, you know, I've got Lily full time, you know, now, and now I have 3 young kids full time. But it was like that change in mentality of like, well, this is nice. So then all the grief, and then I started going through the anger of like, what the fuck, dude? Now you just left me with 3 fucking young kids, 2 of which, like, you're no longer fucking helping me with. What the fuck, dude? So I told him he better be fucking helping me out from the other side, and he better fucking, you know, work on making shit easier for me, because I'm fucking pissed that now I'm taking care of them full time. That's 3 fucking young kids. So he better fucking help me out from the other side. So I haven't necessarily gotten any signs yet from him, but I have had signs. Like, I keep seeing Montana license plates, and that was weird. And some of it was before Dave passed, and then one of them was after, and it finally clicked, like, oh, that's my uncle who lived in Montana. Like, because what are the chances? Like, yeah, okay, it's snowbird season, people are moving back down here, but I haven't seen North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado. I haven't seen any of that shit. I've seen Montana. And I'm like, what are the odds of seeing? Oh, I think I did see one Alaska. I forgot about that. I did see one Alaska. He lived in Alaska, and then in Montana, I think is where he was living when he passed. Oh, that's so funny. It was only one Alaska, so I had kind of forgotten. But I saw like a couple of Montana, and they really caught my attention because I never seen Montana license plates ever. And like maybe Illinois, you know, but not Montana. And then I got in the car with Lily like that day that I found out, because I was going to tour a school, a daycare for her, which is what I need to go do paperwork for. And I drove past the place, but I figured I'd just drive and tell this story just so I could get it all out, you this song by Louis Armstrong comes on, and it's by Louis Armstrong, but it says something 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 Rose, and Rose is my grandma's name. And I was like, aww. And I realized I had a dream about one of my previous dogs, my Sammy, my childhood dog. I had a dream about her one night, and it wasn't her, but in the dream there was 2 dogs, and I was going to an auction to buy a dog, and I bought 2 dogs. I don't know, you get dogs in an auction. And I got 2 dogs, and I'm standing outside of my place, and there's a guy standing there with a big dog. So I don't know if that's like a friend, a significant other, or whatever. But then these 2 little dogs come running up, and one of them is like a terrier mix of some sort, and the other one is a Lhasa Apso. It looks like a show dog, Lhasa Apso. Perfect hair, the perfect little cute bun that some people will put in a Lhasa Apso's hair. And I recognized the terrier and the Lhasa Apso. Well, my dog growing up, Sammy, was a Cairn Terrier Lhasa Apso. She was a terrier mix of some sort and a Lhasa Apso mix. And I was like, oh, okay, that was her visiting me in a dream. And I was like, well, that's weird. I think that was on Friday. And I was like, well, why is she, Thursday or Friday? I was like, well, why is she visiting me? You know, like, so I don't know if they're all just letting me know, you know, like that they're there to greet Dave, they're there with him, they're together. But it was like a lot of spiritual science leading up to it. And oh, the smoothie, the whole purpose of that was, I mean, come on, like that totally seems like a spiritual thing of like the heart exploding. Like, obviously there was nothing I was meant to do about it. There was no action I was supposed to take. Me and my old therapist, like, who I stopped seeing because I couldn't afford her anymore because she was cash pay, she actually reached out to me and said, you know, I'd love to gift you a session, so I'm going to schedule something with her. Her and I talked about this. We said, you know, we only see it being me raising the kids, and we worked through what would that look like, best case scenario. And we said that, I said, well, maybe Dave relapses and moves back to Colorado and moves in with his parents, and they get the chance to help him out since they already lost one son due to overdose. That way they don't lose a second son, and, you know, he moves in with them, and they get to help him, you know, like, help take care of him, and then maybe the kids just go up to visit for, like, you know, part of the summer or breaks or whatever. And it's weird because obviously that didn't happen, even though we knew Dave wasn't going to be in the picture. Just one of those intuitive knowings. Like, I know I've talked about this, but that sense of community immediately when it happened, again, you're just acting on instinct, right? At this point, I'm bawling and I call my parents. That's the first people that I went to for support, was my parents. And literally as soon as my mom hears the news, she's crying. And they're asking if I can drive up there. And I'm like, I can't drive up there. I'm a big old mess and I can't pack. And what? I said, can you guys come down here? So after a little while, they said, you know, like, okay, yes, like, we'll come down here and then you can come up here for the weekend. And I don't know if that's still the plan or if they're going to stay down here with me for the weekend, or I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. I guess we're just kind of going day by day right now. But immediately they rallied and they packed up and they came down here, and they have been helping me with the kids. And we just celebrated Lily's first birthday, and they just said for the very first time, Callie had asked for a sleepover at Biba's, and I mean, they haven't had a sleepover in about a year, since Lily was born. The last sleepover that they had was a year ago. My parents took Callie and Hobbs for a weekend, so that it was just me and Lily, so I could get a little bit of rest, like the weekend that Lily was born. So I don't remember when. So like maybe the week after. I don't know. No, the weekend she was born. Maybe it was 2 weeks later. But anyways, it's been like a whole year, and Callie's been asking for a sleepover. She said, but I want Lily to come. I'm like, well, my mom's 71, my dad's 76. Like, is that something they're even gonna, like, want to / be able to do? Like, my mom's 71. Can she, take care of 3 kids? Like, does she want to be taking care of the baby? Like, and, so I said, well, we can ask Beepa when they're here for Lily's birthday. So Callie asks Beepa, I help her ask for a sleepover, and Beepa goes, oh, of course, honey, we'd love to have you. And it finally clicked for the first time. Maybe my mom actually does love having the kids there, but maybe because of my dad and her being scared of him, maybe that's why she doesn't ask to have the kids for sleepovers. Maybe, but they hardly ever say no. They usually say yes. So maybe that's why. And that was the first, that dawned on me. Like, maybe they really do love having my mom, loves having the kids there, but maybe because of my dad, she can't ask for it. So, anyways, she said, oh, yes, sweetie, we'd love to have you, and I said, well, part of it is they're also asking if it's okay if Lily comes with them. And I said, I know you're getting older, and I don't know, if you're up for it, and, all that, right? And my mom goes, oh, no, of course we'd love to have her. And she said, well, does she sleep in a pack and play? So I guess they had gotten rid of the pack and play that they had from Callie and Hobbs, right, when they thought I was done having kids. Apparently, after Lily was born, they bought a new pack and play. In future anticipation of having her over for sleepovers. They never fucking told me that. They never offered. They never, what? How am I just now a year later finding out that you guys went out and bought a new pack and play for Lily to come up there for sleepovers? What? My parents are weird. So I was like, I don't know if she'll sleep in a pack and play. I honestly have no clue. She sleeps, in a recliner for my friend. When she takes a nap, she sleeps in my bed when the sitter puts her down. I don't know. Maybe she'll sleep in a pack and play in your room for you. And I said, if not, you can just put towels around the bed and she can sleep in the bed with Callie. You just have to put towels to make sure that she doesn't, and my mom's like, oh yeah, of course, So, they're even open to that, her bed sharing with, and maybe now because she's a year, so she's not, a brand spanking new baby, they're not as worried about it. But they're totally, okay, or she can sleep in the bed with Callie, and so we didn't have a date planned or anything like that, but my parents were literally open to having all 3 kids up there for a weekend, and not even one night. They said, well, are you okay driving them up here, though? And I said, sure, I can drive them up there and come and pick them up. I enjoy driving anyways, so that would be, I always did it anyways. What do you mean, why are you asking me? My parents, it's weird healing, because it's they're completely different people, too. I've always driven the kids up there for sleepovers. They have never come to pick up the kids for a sleepover. One time they came and got Callie, when it was just Callie, Dave and I had gotten some sort of a stomach flu, and we were so sick, literally puking. I said, Mom, we can't take care of her. Can you guys come and get her? And we obviously can't drive. We're throwing up every 2 seconds. And so they came and got her that, one time. Otherwise, I've always driven them up there, because Dave and I even talked about the fact that they're retired, but yet we're the ones driving them up there. They never come in. And I know I've mentioned that they never come and pick them up. I swear it's weird, because it's they always just assumed we'd do that. And now they're like, well, do you mind driving them up here? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do all the time. Oh shoot, I forgot my friend. Yes. Sorry. I can't respond to this because I'm driving. What am I doing? So we hadn't chosen a date yet, but like my parents were okay taking the kids. If I brought them up, I said maybe I can bring them up on a Friday after school and then come back and pick them up, you know, on Sunday. And then I was thinking maybe even on Sunday I'd spend the night and then drive back down, you know, drop them off at school Monday morning. So like future, they're planning on this. So I almost feel like this is also training for like the kids to be up there with them, you know, because now Lily's like, my parents had only ever hung out with Lily, like they came down 4 hours the day after she was born. They were here for like Thanksgiving and Christmas, but like and they did come to Callie's birthday, but otherwise they've never really been around. They've never helped take care of Lily. They've never done anything, you know, from that aspect. But now they just came down, and like even my dad is helping. Like he'll have Lily on his lap and Lily will be, you know, like goofing with him and giggling with him, and he was feeding her this morning and they were these like little yogurt melts, and I guess she literally has them like wrapped around her little finger. Like she has them each feed her like one at a time, give her one at a time, and then she eats it and then she looks to them for the next one. She doesn't do that shit with me. Like she wants to feed herself and be a little Miss Independent, and she'll like steal the bag from me so that she can reach in the bag and grab like her own. Like I'm like, what? Like it's just so funny the way that even a baby will act so differently around different people. And I guess that's what they say when you love somebody unconditionally. Like she's totally different around me and my parents. So that's what I was saying though, is with doulas, finding out that there's death doulas, end of life doulas, there's different things that they can do. Some of them will help out with paperwork. I have no desire to help out with paperwork. I'm not even looking forward to going and doing this as it is, obviously. That's probably why I'm leaving like an hour-long message. But, you know, the physical touch for the person passing away, or, you know, hugs for the people who are losing their loved one. And I feel like this is like part of my training for being a death doula, an end-of-life doula. We'll use that because it's a nicer term, end-of-life doula. Because I wouldn't have truly known what it's like for somebody to lose somebody that's so close to them if I wasn't going through this experience right now. And with everybody reaching out to me for different offerings of help, like a GoFundMe, a meal train, you know, like helping out with the kids with their lunches, helping out with the kids with driving them to and from school, like I'm having so many people in the community, like the different school communities. Like I even, when I was getting Callie's lunch yesterday, because she's still wanting to go to school for some sense of normalcy. Right now Hobbs doesn't, but then he's mostly on his tablet. I think he's like kind of numbing out, you know? So I'll probably next week start having him go back to school just for some sense of normalcy as well. And what do you even mean normalcy, right? Because like their dad's never going to pick them up again. I'll have to get to that too at some point. Like them offering to make lunches for my kids. Like, oh my God, I didn't even like, because I went to get her lunch yesterday from the fridge, and in my head I go, oh, like I now have to make her a lunch every day. And it's that like sense of like, you do it every day with Riley, but you know, like for me with 2 kids, it's that sense of like, oh shit, that's a lot on my plate. And it's funny that lunch, something so small, but it's something big, right? Like it's a task. And the fact that like a mom offered, you know, to make a sign up kind of a thing that like each family takes turns making a lunch and bringing it for Callie. I was like, oh, that would be such a big help. Like, thank you. I hadn't even thought about that. Like when people say, let me know how I can help, let me know if you need help, let me know. And one of the moms said, you know, I can't even imagine what a big task it is to even ask for help. And I was like, oh my God, like, you're so right, because I don't even, like, it's such a big task to even know what to ask for help, or who, or how, or so the fact that she just offered, hey, next week, can I pack Callie a lunch every day? That is such a huge help. And it's just like, I don't know, this overwhelming sense of community that I've never experienced anything before. And I know, one, it's beautiful, and two, it'll help me with how to then help future families for support, of like offering, well, maybe somebody can do this for you, maybe, you know, who can I ask to do this for you, and I can help them reach out and communicate. And I really do feel like this is some on-the-job training for being an end-of-life doula, which is cool and fun and exciting, and also, you know, overwhelming at the same time for me. So I'm on my way to go do paperwork to apply for DES, Department of Economic Security, for childcare assistance for Lily, because I can't afford childcare for her, so that I can work. So I'm going to apply for that, and it has to be done in person. And then I need to call and see if I can figure out how to get Dave's death certificate, because it says that you can only request it if you're a spouse. Well, I was a spouse. Does that mean I can still so I need to call them and ask, and it's just, there's a lot of fucking paperwork to do when somebody dies, and I'm not even the one in charge of doing the funeral. So I can't even fucking imagine, like, everything involved with somebody's death. There's a lot, and going through the house. And so here's the thing, that spirituality wise, I've been seeing signs for a while that I'm moving, and then signs started coming about being a homeowner. I was like, well, that's like, maybe they mean really far in advance in the future, because I can't afford to buy a home right now. And I was just starting to look. I was going to start looking for, once I started Lily in childcare, I was going to fix up and clear out Callie and Hobbs' stuff from their rooms and look at renting out their rooms for extra money, maybe like a student or a travel nurse or something like that, because I can't keep affording my rent. Like, it, you know, is 2.5 times what I was paying for my mortgage, and being now a single mom of 3, how the hell am I supposed to afford all of this, right? So it's like, the universe better be helping me out, and Dave better fucking make sure that we are all fucking taken care of, because, you know, he just left me with, and part of it is getting survivor benefits for the kids, and I need the death certificate to do that. And Carissa got me that information. Carissa was the second person I called, because Lily was crying, and I was like, oh my god, she needs a nap. And the thought of, even this was right after I got the news, the thought of like laying down with her to put her down for a nap is, I can't lay down right now. I can't. So she'll fall asleep in her car seat. So Carissa, I called her. She happened to be home. She lives right across the street. She came right over, you know, gave me a hug. She stayed with the kids. I just drove around in the neighborhood, which I couldn't go outside the neighborhood. It wouldn't have been safe. It was like one of those where it's kind of, you know, like, should I even be driving right now? But I needed to get Lily down for a nap. I was just driving in the neighborhood, but I would kind of like zone out, you know, and obviously we're all safe, but she messaged me after and said this might be helpful, and it was about Social Security benefits for survivor benefits, for somebody that passed. And I guess they don't qualify for the spouse, for the widow, I don't know what it would be called, benefits, because I'm not 60. So I only qualify that for if I'm 60, because people are like, well, did he have a life insurance policy? I go, I don't know, like, did he have any benefits at Starbucks? I don't know. We weren't married anymore. I have no clue what he has. Like, and I don't have access to any of that because we're no longer married. Like, I'm assuming his parents will find all this out, and it's just like, I don't know. There's so many things, but Carissa gave me this that I could start doing, but I need to get his death certificate, and I don't know if I can apply for it since I was his spouse, but I'm not currently his spouse, but I'm the one taking care of his kids now, so they're the ones that like, what happens to the home? Like, I literally do not know. But all I'm hoping is that maybe the universe is telling me to just sit back and trust and take the right action when it's time, that the house will go to the kids. You know, maybe we move in there and maybe I take it over, but it's in the kids' names. Like, I don't really know how this works. I do have a friend who lives in the neighborhood who's on Instagram, and I think she's a realtor, so I could ask her if she knows like anything about the stuff. But starting on Mother's Day, and I actually wrote it down like verbatim. This is, you know, I don't remember exactly what it said, but starting on Mother's Day, so 4 months ago, Hobbs started saying to me that he didn't want to go back with his dad, that he wanted to stay with me and Lily. And I was like, well, this kid is super connected. Like, what does he know that I don't know? He's been saying it on and off for the past 4 months. The very first day that he said it was on Mother's Day. I very distinctly remember I took him to this, like, Kids That Rip. It's like an indoor ninja gym kind of a thing. They have parkour and you know, trampolines and stuff like that. And I took the kids there for Mother's Day. And we're leaving. And Hobbs says to me, Mommy, I asked God to put a rock and a color in the way of Daddy so that he can't come and pick us up so that we stay with you. Literally 4 months ago, he said that. Like 1 month before Lily was in my tummy, he knew. He was like, Mommy, is there a baby in your tummy? And I was like, no. And then 1 month later, she was conceived. Like, that kid is connected. His intuition is freaking on point. Like, he knew that this was coming. Like, obviously we didn't know when, but it's like he knew. And I don't know, you know, like, I'm gonna have to take them to some grief counseling. One of Hobbs's teachers gave me a referral for that, for children for grief counseling, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help them. How do they, like, when is it even gonna, like, process for Hobbs? Like, he's only 4, almost 5. Like, does he even understand that that means he will never physically see his dad again? He will never go with his dad will never pick him up from school again? Like, does he even, you know, like, I don't know. So, I think that was everything. This ended up being such a long video. Thank you for letting me get all that out. I know, you know, we haven't been chatting, and mostly it was me being butthurt that you wouldn't come out here and see me, and I get it though. I know a lot of the stuff that we talk about too is also very emotionally vulnerable, and I know you said you're not, like, as open with other people, and I know, like, one thing I've noticed is, like, when we've been in person, we haven't been able to get to this level either, because, you know, it was in Vegas, and who's gonna talk about the shit when we're in Vegas there, you know, for my birthday to have a fun time, and it was your wedding, like, you know, this isn't what you talk about when there's a wedding, and but, you know, obviously I still would love it if you're ever able to come out here and visit me, and that is always open. Even more so now, like, the thought of me going to Vegas to see you as it was with having a little kid was just unfathomable. You know, now that my parents are offering to watch the kids, you know, we could have a little bit of, like, a girls' weekend or something like that, but I don't feel up to driving out to Vegas or, like, you know, really going anywhere right now, even though I love traveling and trips. And see, now I'm, like, mad at him for that, because I was taking trips with just Lily without the other two. Like, now the thought of traveling with all 3 of them, how am I gonna afford that? How do I navigate that? How do I, like, it's a fucking shit ton on my plate, dude. But I'm sure it's all divine timing. I need to go figure out these 2 things. Thank you. I love you. Again, like, even if we went to Sedona or something like that, or even if you just came and stayed with me and Riley and the kids can play, and I would still always love to see you. I was definitely really hurt that you weren't, even planning a date to come and see me, but yet you were making plans and visiting other people and going to weddings, but not my baby shower. And, like, I'm sure that was planned more in advance than my baby shower, but it's just all those little things that I was definitely feeling very hurt by, and feeling like, and then wanting to do the trip with Brant, and I didn't want to go and be a third wheel. So but obviously I would love, even if you do come out here with Brant, maybe we can go sneak off and do something just us kind of